All right, good afternoon, Central Texas, and today is the last day of 2024. Happy New Year to all of you as y'all get ready to have all those amazing activities y'all likely have planned. But before we get into the forecast for tonight and then on into New Year's Day, we're going to talk about a few climatological things for not just this past month, but this past year, because this is going to be very, very interesting because we had a record warm year and close to a record warm December. So let's go ahead and let's break everything down, and we are going to take a look at our December average temperature. It was 59.6. That makes it the second hottest on record, and we're just a little bit above average of 53.6 for the month. Now, from a rain standpoint, we were at only 1.2 inches, a little bit below average, but not too terribly below average. It wasn't historically dry, but drier than normal. This was good for the 38th driest December on record here in the 512. And there it is with the warmest December average temperatures. We trailed only 2021, which had an average temperature of 65.1. It was quite toasty during the month of December, even though we almost broke an all-time December heat record yesterday at Camp Mabry. We got to 89. That record is 90. But as we take a look overall for 2024, that average temperature right there, that's not a typo, that's not a glitch. That is 72.7, which by far is going to make this the hottest year on record. And oh, by the way, number 2 on that list, just last year, 2023. Now, we're only slightly below average rainfall-wise for the entirety of the year. We did have an abnormally wet July, which helped carry us, but we still had the 37th driest year on record at Camp Mabry. So unusually dry. The normal rain average is a little over 33 inches. However, hopefully we could get some good rain in 2025 to help fill our highland lakes. Now, there it is with the warmest years on record. There you see 2024 at the top and 2023 being second. The top 5 are at least since 2011, and each of the top 9 warmest years on record have taken place since the year 2000. So how is this happening? I bet y'all can figure that one out. Now, temperature-wise, we're mainly in the upper 60s here locally, a far cry from those mid to upper 80s that we had yesterday. We do have some lower 60s in places like Round Rock as well as Hutto, but as we zoom this out a little bit, we've also got lower 60s in places like Cameron as well as Mason, checking in at 62 and 63 respectively, still hanging on close to the 70s the closer you get to I-10, such as Luling at 67, San Marcos at 69, but it's mostly mid 60s though. We've had ash enter the chat today, as well as oak. Elm is in the medium count, but cedar and mold, the usual suspects, have been sky high. Cedar, in fact, the highest it has been so far this season. It is at 222 grains per cubic meter. So if you are a cedar allergy sufferer, today is not going to be a good day for you. Now let's take a look at midnight, right as the clock hits 2025. We're going to be getting down to those upper 40s. We're going to be clear and a bit on that chilly side. So if you're planning on going to Auditorium Shores for that fireworks display or any of those other New Year's Eve activities that you do have planned, one, I would leave the fireworks to the professionals because we still have that elevated fire danger. But 2, make sure you have that jacket handy with that northerly breeze. And we're going to be quite chilly throughout the entirety of the evening, folks, especially as we ring in 2025. That's where we're going to have some of the chilliest temperatures. We're going to have lows getting down to around that 40-degree mark. But as for tomorrow on your New Year's Day afternoon, still got that northeasterly breeze coming in, but we're still going to be perfectly sunny. And temperatures are mainly going to be in the upper 50s to lower 60s area-wide. I'm not convinced we get to the 60s at Camp Mabry. I do think we stay in those upper 50s. Now, if you're traveling to Atlanta and you're watching us on KV Plus right now from Atlanta, it is going to be chilly there too, not just here in Austin. But so if you are tailgating for that UT game, that Peach Bowl as they take on Arizona State, You're going to want to have the light jacket out, especially if you're going to the Home Depot backyard, as well as any of the other lots outside of the stadium. But by the time you get inside, you should be comfortable because more than likely that roof will be closed for the Peach Bowl with those temperatures hovering around those lower 50s. Now, tomorrow's going to be the chilliest day of the next little bit because we are going to gradually warm up because winds are going to come more out of a southerly direction. And what that's going to do is that's going to aid into another warming trend, especially as we head into Sunday. Sunday, right now, I have us feeling lucky. We could be getting to those upper 70s. In fact, I have 77 for a high. But as we look at your Thursday and then eventually your weekend, the first weekend of 2025, you could have maybe 1 to 2 isolated showers. I have it at around a 10 to 20% chance, and that's a result of a coastal low that's going to slide just to our south. It's going to be a pretty weak coastal low in nature, but by and large, rain chances aren't totally out of the question. Now, this is the 8 to 4 day temperature outlook. This is good from January 10th through the 15th. And there you see that polar vortex possibly all the way making it to Florida. Now, here locally, we might not be as likely to be below average, but we are going to be below average nonetheless. And we could have some areas that could have below freezing temperatures to start the days, especially as we head into next week. Next week's highs, some areas may not even get out of the 40s to start on your Monday and Tuesday, that first full weekend of 2025, but then will gradually become less cold as we head through your Wednesday and eventually your next Friday. So the 7-day forecast looks like this. We are looking at upper 50s for your New Year's Day after starting off with those lower 40s for the start of 2025. And then we're going to warm up quite nicely by the time we get to Sunday with temperatures in those double sevens. However, that day does also have a 20% shower chance out ahead of that big Arctic front. It's going to move on through and really drop our lows down to around the freezing mark and highs. Some areas may not even get out of the 40s to start next week. So a lot to digest here, but by and large, we've had quite a warm year, but we may not start off 2025 quite as such, although there are going to be some warm stretches as we head through your Saturday and Sunday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this back and we're going to go through this one more time because this is very interesting that we are going to be talking about here this afternoon. Now, first things first, we do have the average temperature for December getting close to 60. It is the second hottest December on record, 59.6. And as we take a look at how dry we were just only slightly below average. And as a result of that, we aren't really that high on the historically dry ratings, which is good news. We were only the 38th driest on record. The average rainfall is a little over 2.7 inches, and we only got 1 2/10. So yes, we're below average. Yes, this hurts our drought situation, but hopefully we could get some good rains throughout the course of 2025 that could really help Lake Travis, especially with those sometimes islands turning into an all-time peninsula of sorts. 2024 was behind only 2021 for that warmest December on average, but as we take a look over the whole entire 2024, we have the hottest year on record. And oh, by the way, the second hottest year on record last year, 2023. And I'm going to tell you a startling statistic here momentarily, but as we talk about how much rain we received all year, we were aided by a July that was well above average for this time of year, but we only got to 28 1/4 inches for the year, a little bit below our average of 33.5 inches for the year. That is good for the 37th driest on record. Now we're going to talk about the warmest years on record now, and I want to tell you that the top 5 warmest years on record have all been since 2011, and the top 9 warmest years on record have all been since 2000. So 9 of the top 10 warmest years on record at Camp Mabry came in this century that we're living in right now and will still be living in even as we head into 2025. So you could draw your conclusions on this, but climate change has to be playing a role here. Now, as we look at our temperatures here locally, mainly mid to upper 60s area-wide, do have some lower 60s in sections of Wilco, Round Rock, and Hutto, checking in at 63 and 64 respectively. We zoom things out just a little bit, and we do show that upper 60s are more prevalent the closer you get to I-10. Luling and LaGrange at 67, and San Marcos getting closer to that 70-degree mark. We had 3 different allergens enter the chat this morning. We had ash, oak, and elm all show up on our allergy sensor. Ash and oak were low, but elm was medium, and cedar is among its highest levels it's been so far this season, and mold again elevated with alternaria showing up. Now, as we head through midnight, make sure you have that light jacket handy because we do have temperatures getting down to those upper 40s, and then we'll eventually get down to the mid 40s by the time we get to the latter portions of the overnight hours as you get ready to head back into bed after partying the night away and getting ready for 2025. And for the first full day of 2025, we may not even get out of the 50s here locally, maybe even in Lago Vista as well as the airport as well. Some areas may try to make a run of the 60s, but that's mainly going to be the closer you get to I-10 for me. Now, if you are watching us from Atlanta, we are looking at temperatures getting to the lower 50s at kickoff. Make sure you have the light jacket handy over that Longhorn paraphernalia that you do have on as you're making your way into Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which, by the way, the roof of the bins is expected to be closed, so you should feel a little bit more comfortable once the game does kick off. But as we take a look over the next 5 days, we're going to warm right up because we are going to have the wind shift and become a little more southerly out ahead of that front. That's going to really bring a big cool down that we'll talk about in a moment. And we're going to have highs on Sunday getting to the 70s, perhaps even the upper 70s. Now, rain chances are going to be on the increase on Sunday as well out ahead of that front because you're going to have a little bit of moisture with that southerly flow as well as a coastal low that'll slide just to the south of us as we head through the day on your Thursday. But here comes that big cool down. This is our 8 to 14 day outlook. This is past the 7-day, and it shows that polar vortex going all the way down into the deep south. Places like Atlanta, Miami are most likely to see below average temperatures, and we're likely to see temperatures get below average here in central Texas too, but not as likely as, say, Atlanta or Miami or Nashville, maybe even Charlotte as well. So by and large, it is going to be chilly, but it's not going to be like bitterly cold, which could limit our chances of any wintry precipitation. Now, wintry precipitation did show up on some models earlier this week. However, I'm not going to really read into that, as well as models are trending in a direction that would no longer support that, although we could not make it out of the 40s to start next week before getting to the lower to even mid to upper 50s to round out the first full week of 2025. But as for the next 7 days, though, just a 10% shower chance for your Thursday as well as your Saturday and Sunday with that moisture out ahead of the front, bringing us a good shower chance. But then that strong Arctic front does come in for Sunday night and a Monday, and there you see temperatures only getting to the mid to upper 40s, maybe even lower 50s for the start of the first full week of 2025. So a very interesting next 7 days is on tap. Hopefully everyone stays safe and enjoys their New Year's Eve this evening.